In the bustling city of Pataliputra, a young merchant named Aryan stood trembling before the great Acharya Chanakya. His face was red with anger, his fists clenched, and his voice trembled with frustration. "Acharya," Aryan began, "I have been wronged. My closest friend betrayed me in business, and now my name is being tarnished across the city. I cannot bear this injustice any longer. Tell me, how should I make him pay for this insult?" Chanakya looked at Aryan with calm, piercing eyes and asked, "Do you truly wish to destroy him, Aryan?" "Yes, Acharya. He deserves to be punished for what he has done," Aryan exclaimed, his voice rising. Chanakya smiled faintly and said, "Then, my dear Aryan, you must first pass a test of your anger. Only when you have mastered it will you be ready to face your enemy." Curious and determined, Aryan nodded. "I will do whatever you ask, Acharya." Chanakya handed Aryan a scroll and instructed him to journey to a nearby village to deliver it to a wise sage. But there was one condition. No matter what happened along the way, Aryan was not allowed to lose his temper. With a mixture of skepticism and determination, Aryan set out. Along the way, his patience was tested repeatedly. As Aryan walked through the marketplace, a beggar accidentally spilled water on his new robe. Aryan's anger flared, but he remembered Chanakya's words and paused. He asked himself, "Why am I angry? Is it really the beggar's fault, or is it my attachment to this robe?" Taking a deep breath, he moved on, realizing that his expectations were fueling his anger. Further along, Aryan encountered a group of travelers arguing over a lost coin. Watching from a distance, he noticed how their anger escalated into accusations and fights. If only they could let go of this attachment to a single coin, he thought. Aryan understood that detachment from material things could prevent unnecessary conflict. That evening, Aryan stopped at an inn. The innkeeper, annoyed by the day's stress, rudely snapped at him. Aryan felt anger bubbling up, but remembered Chanakya's teaching. Speak only when your words are more powerful than silence. He chose to remain silent. Later, the innkeeper apologized, embarrassed by his behavior, and offered Aryan a warm meal. As Aryan continued his journey, a thief attempted to rob him. Instead of reacting with anger, Aryan calmly negotiated with the thief, offering him food and explaining his purpose. The thief, moved by Aryan's calm demeanor, not only spared him but guided him to a safer path. Aryan marveled at how control over his emotions led to better results than anger ever could. On the outskirts of the village, Aryan encountered a man who had cheated his father years ago. His first instinct was to confront the man, but he remembered Chanakya's wisdom. "Forgiveness is for your peace, not theirs." Aryan chose to forgive, feeling an unexpected sense of freedom and relief as he walked away. Finally, as Aryan neared the sage's home, a group of children began teasing him, calling him names and throwing small pebbles. Initially annoyed, Aryan suddenly saw the humor in the situation. "They're just children trying to have fun," he thought, laughing. His anger melted away, replaced by a sense of lightness. Aryan arrived at the sage's home and handed him the scroll. The sage opened it, smiled, and said, "You've passed, Aryan." Confused, Aryan asked, "What do you mean?" "I only delivered a scroll." The sage replied, "This journey was not about the scroll. It was about mastering your anger. Along the way, you learn to understand anger, detach from expectations, remain silent, think strategically, forgive, and even laugh at life's chaos. You are now ready for Acharya Chanakya's final teaching." When Aryan returned to Chanakya, he was no longer the angry young man who had stood trembling before him. He told Chanakya of his journey and how he had faced his challenges. Chanakya smiled and said, "Aryan, the man who betrayed you was never your enemy. Your true enemy was your anger. By conquering it, you have already won." Aryan nodded, realizing the truth in Chanakya's words. He no longer felt the need for revenge. His heart was at peace. Chanakya concluded with these final words: "Anger is like a fire. Left unchecked, it will burn everything in its path. But if you learn to control it, that same fire can light your way to greatness." Aryan left with a new understanding, not just of anger, but of life itself. And from that day forward, he lived with the calmness and clarity that comes from mastering one's emotions. Now, let me ask you one thing here. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where anger got the better of you? Maybe it was a moment when someone said something hurtful, and without thinking, you lashed out. Or perhaps it was a small inconvenience, like getting stuck in traffic, that made you lose your temper. How did it feel afterward? Did you regret the words you spoke or the actions you took in anger? Let me ask you this. What if you could completely free yourself from the clutches of anger? What if there was a way to face every situation with calm and clarity? Today, we'll explore the wisdom of Acharya Chanakya, one of India's greatest strategists and philosophers, who left behind timeless lessons for mastering emotions. Chanakya understood human nature better than most, and his insights on anger can transform your life if you're willing to listen and reflect. Let me start by sharing one of Chanakya's profound teachings. He who cannot control his anger will lose everything he has built. Think about the truth behind this. How many relationships, careers, or opportunities have been damaged because someone couldn't control their temper? Anger is like fire. It burns indiscriminately. But here's the good news. Just as fire can be controlled and used productively, so can anger. Chapter 1. Understanding anger and its triggers. To overcome anger, we first need to understand its root cause. According to Chanakya, anger doesn't come out of nowhere. It stems from unfulfilled desires or unmet expectations. When someone doesn't act the way we want them to, or when life doesn't go according to our plan, we feel frustrated. And that frustration often turns into anger. But is the problem really with the other person or the situation, or is it with our expectations? Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine a scenario where a friend forgets your birthday. You feel hurt and angry. But if you think deeper, isn't your anger tied to the expectation that they should remember? What if you let go of that expectation? Wouldn't it free you from the emotional burden? Chanakya's wisdom teaches us that by identifying the root cause of our anger, our attachment to how things should be, we can begin to take control of it. Chapter 2. The power of detachment. This brings us to an important principle Chanakya often spoke about: vairagya, or detachment. Now, detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about people or situations. It means you develop a mindset where your peace of mind doesn't depend on external circumstances. Imagine having the strength to remain calm even when faced with criticism, failure, or disappointment. That's the power of detachment. Detachment allows you to see things objectively. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. For instance, if someone insults you, a detached mind doesn't take it personally. It sees the insult for what it is, a reflection of the other person's state of mind, not yours. Chapter 3. A story from Chanakya's life. Let me illustrate this with a story from Chanakya's own life. Chanakya was known for his sharp intellect and unwavering composure. Once, during a public gathering, a rival tried to humiliate him by calling him names and mocking his appearance. The crowd expected Chanakya to retaliate, but instead, he remained calm and silent. When asked why he didn't respond, he said, "An insult is like a gift. If you don't accept it, it remains with the giver." What a powerful thought, isn't it? By refusing to react, Chanakya not only maintained his dignity, but also left his rival looking foolish. Chapter 4. The consequences of anger. Chanakya also warned about the destructive consequences of anger. When you're angry, your judgment becomes clouded. You say things you don't mean, make decisions you later regret, and often end up harming yourself more than anyone else. Have you ever noticed how exhausting anger can be? It drains your energy, takes away your focus, and leaves you feeling worse than before. Chanakya compared anger to poison. It doesn't just harm the person it's directed at. It also corrodes the person holding it. The more you hold on to anger, the more it eats away at your peace of mind. So the question is, why drink this poison when there's a way to cleanse your mind of it? Chapter 5. A simple practice to control anger. Chanakya's wisdom isn't just philosophical, it's practical. One of the simplest ways to control anger, he suggested, is to pause and reflect before reacting. The next time you feel anger rising, try this. Count to 10 before saying or doing anything. It sounds simple, but this small pause can make a big difference. It gives you a moment to regain control and choose your response instead of letting anger dictate your actions. Chapter 11. The humor in anger. Now, let's lighten the mood for a moment. Have you ever looked back at an argument and laughed at how ridiculous it was? Maybe you were arguing about something trivial, like the temperature in the room, or whose turn it was to take out the trash. Chanakya understood that anger often arises from petty issues, and he encouraged seeing the humor in such situations. When you take a step back and realize how insignificant some conflicts are, it becomes easier to let go of anger. Humor is a powerful tool. It not only helps you stay calm, but also diffuses tension and brings people closer together. So the next time you feel anger bubbling up over something small, pause and ask yourself, will this matter a week from now, or even a day from now? Often, the answer will make you smile and help you move on. Chapter 12. Transforming anger into success. Let's look at one of Chanakya's most profound teachings. The wise one controls anger and achieves what the angry person cannot. This is not just a philosophical statement, it's a formula for success. When you control your anger, you gain the clarity and focus needed to overcome obstacles and achieve your goals. For example, imagine you're in a difficult negotiation. If you let anger dictate your behavior, you might lose the deal entirely. But if you stay calm and composed, you can turn the situation in your favor. Chanakya believed that emotional control is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. Anger is a powerful energy, but it's also a destructive one. The key is to channel that energy into something constructive. Instead of yelling at someone who makes a mistake, think of how you can guide them to do better. Instead of stewing over a personal insult, focus on improving yourself and proving your worth through actions, not words. Chapter 13. The Path Forward. As we conclude this segment, think about how these teachings can apply to your life. Whether it's the power of silence, the wisdom of humor, or the strength of strategic thinking, each principle offers a way to rise above anger and take control of your emotions. Let's pause for a moment and think about the moments when anger has taken control of our actions. Wasn't it often over something trivial or something that seemed important only in the heat of the moment? And when you look back, doesn't it feel like that anger only hurt you more than it helped? In the previous parts, we explored the wisdom of Acharya Chanakya, his teachings on silence, detachment, and strategic thinking. Now let's uncover the final pieces of this puzzle. These lessons will not only help you control anger, but also turn it into an opportunity for growth, resilience, and wisdom. Chapter 14. The humor in life's chaos. Let's start with something simple. Humor. Have you ever been in an argument and after calming down, realized how silly the entire situation was? Maybe it was a heated debate over who left the light on or a disagreement about the best route to take while driving. At the time, it felt serious, but in hindsight, it's laughable. Chanakya understood this too. He taught that life's challenges often look bigger than they really are when you're caught in the moment. Humor allows you to step back and see things from a lighter perspective. Next time you feel anger rising, ask yourself, is this really worth losing my peace over, or can I laugh at the absurdity of it all? Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Instead of honking furiously, try laughing and saying, well, they must really be in a hurry. This shift in perspective not only calms your mind, but also helps you see the world with kindness. Chapter 15. Control over reaction. Now let's focus on one of Chanakya's most profound lessons, The wise one controls anger and achieves what the angry person cannot. Think about this. When you're angry, you often act without thinking. But when you remain calm, you have the clarity to make better decisions and achieve more meaningful outcomes. Let me share an example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague makes a mistake that affects your project. Anger might drive you to criticize them harshly, damaging your relationship. But if you control your anger, you can turn the situation into a learning moment, guiding them to improve while maintaining harmony. Chanakya believed that controlling anger is like holding the reins of a wild horse. Once you have control, you can direct it toward your goals. The energy of anger, when channeled constructively, becomes a source of strength and determination. Chapter 16. The Power of Forgiveness. Have you ever heard the phrase, "Forgiveness is for your peace, not theirs"? Chanakya emphasized this truth centuries ago. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment. When you hold on to anger, you're the one who suffers. It's like carrying a heavy bag everywhere you go. It weighs you down, drains your energy, and keeps you stuck in the past. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is like setting that bag down and walking forward with ease. Think about a time when someone wronged you. Holding on to that anger didn't change the past, did it? It only prolonged your pain. But the moment you chose to let it go, didn't you feel lighter? Chanakya taught that forgiveness is one of the greatest strengths a person can have. It shows mastery over one's emotions and a commitment to peace. Chapter 17. Visualization, a tool for calm. Now let's try something practical. Close your eyes and picture a time when you remained calm in a difficult situation. Maybe it was during an argument where you chose to stay silent, or a stressful moment when you kept your composure. Recall how powerful and in control you felt in that moment. Visualization is a powerful tool Chanakya would have admired. By imagining yourself as calm and composed, even in challenging situations, you train your mind to react that way in real life. The next time anger arises, pause and visualize yourself responding calmly. This mental practice can become a habit that transforms how you handle conflict. Chapter 18. A Call to Action. Let me challenge you with something Chanakya himself might have asked. Can you go one day, just 24 hours, without reacting in anger? It's not about suppressing your feelings, but about choosing how to respond. When someone provokes you, pause. When something doesn't go your way, reflect. Treat each situation as a chance to practice calmness and wisdom. This isn't just a theoretical exercise. It's a path to mastery. Each time you overcome anger, you strengthen your ability to remain composed. And as you grow in this skill, you'll find that situations that once triggered you no longer hold power over you. Chapter 19. The Final Wisdom. Let's wrap up this part with one of Chanakya's most enduring truths. Self-control is the foundation of all success. When you master your emotions, especially anger, you unlock a version of yourself that is calm, focused, and unstoppable. You become someone who is no longer at the mercy of external events, but instead acts with intention and clarity. As we've seen, anger doesn't have to control you. With humor, forgiveness, strategic thinking, and visualization, you can rise above it and lead a life of peace and purpose. These teachings are not just ancient wisdom. They are tools for modern challenges, ready to be applied in your everyday life. Take these lessons to heart, and remember, every moment you choose calmness over anger is a step toward a better, stronger, and more fulfilled version of yourself. Thank you.